I said this a lot when Nick was here, but it feels like you're at the lunch table with your boys.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is like obviously the driving like reason that a lot of people listen to the show, but does it ever come with the other side of it where people are a little too comfortable whenever you first meet them?
Oh, with fans?
Fans of the show or listeners of the show.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or there have been enough situations where that's the case, but I think we also have complained so much about these interactions that it's also been conditioned out of like the remaining fan base. Because I noticed it was more prolific at the beginning of the show, like when it was first breaking out, and these types of weird, like there's a really early story on the show where I went to Sweden and I hooked up with a girl at a bar who was like, she was a bit older than me. She was like 7 years older than me, 8 years older maybe.
Okay.
And the meme.
I didn't know we were bragging, but okay. No, it makes sense.
The meme was that Aiden sleeps with like gilfs from Sweden and has a child there or something. Which is one thing. That doesn't line up. But that was like, and then people would come up to me and be like, "Yo," like, and that's just like that's not.
Yeah,
me. Like I'm a very like tepid guy about these types of things. I would say.
Yeah.
And I was like. This is a very exaggerated take of like what actually happened, even from what I'm telling on the show,
which is already a stretch.
And it's like I don't want to like dap up fans about like a hookup I had, right? I just wanted to tell the funny part of the story to my friends, and like, and I think there's a lot of like comment like little yardisms and bits of like language that have like really seeped through our friend group,
right?
That people have just like adopted, or like versions of our persona that people used to bring up and like joke about in these interactions a lot.
Right.
And, but that's like definitely changed. Slime has probably led the charge on that. Slime has definitely cultivated a culture of fear around fan interactions.
I feel like there's the yin and yang that you need in order for something perfect to happen. And you guys have two yins and two yangs and it works.
Yeah.
And in all different scenarios, it works pretty perfectly. I don't know. You guys, I think you guys have, I mean, I've said it multiple times. You guys are my favorite podcast. Listen to damn near every episode. And it's just, it is that part of it that's just so, you sit down and you listen to it and it's so effortless. But as I'm listening to it, having dealt with, you know, people that are a little too comfortable when it comes to the COD team, or they're like, you know, they sit and they watch the boys scrim for 12 hours. So they're like, you know, like in their mind, they're like, "Oh, these are my boys. Like,
I'm a part of.
I'm a part of the team," which is a great thing. You want that feeling, but you don't want people to come up and slap you on the butt and say, you know, good game and stuff. If you're not on the field with them, you know,
it's a very natural social reaction, I think, for a person to like kind of feel that way, because you do have a very personal and unique window, especially through streaming specifically, into like somebody you're a fan of in their life. But I do think that we are lucky in that we crafted a culture that has kind of combated that. Like it's always ever since Ludwig made that video about like being parasocial. He has like a famous YouTube video he made.
Yeah, the friend one, right?
Yeah, I am not your friend.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's like it became memed to such a point that it's such common knowledge within like Ludwig adjacent spaces that I do think that plus the general way we talk about negative fan interactions has led to people being really positive in person. Like I almost have, it's really, really hard for me to have a bad interaction with a fan.
Really?
Which is nice.
That has to be nice in comparison to when it first started.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And they weren't even bad at the beginning. They were just like
comfortable.
They were more weird more often.
Yeah. Because I'm sure like if Slime and Nick are roasting you about something as a friend because you've known them for years, it's a lot different coming from them than it is coming from some random person.
Way different. Way different. Yeah, absolutely.
It's got to be a thin line to walk too, because that being said, if somebody's walking down the street and they see Slime and they yell "pussy boy" at him,
he'd be so livid, dude. He'd be livid. Yeah.
I don't know. It's yeah. But the thing is I can see myself coming from like in the fans' eyes. I can see myself being like, oh, there's slime, yelling pussy boy at him across the street would be funny.
Yeah, you want to be funny, or you want to. All that person wants is to make that interaction like stand out and like be special and like receive some acknowledgement from the thing or the person they care so much about. Yeah. So I understand what it's like rooted in, right?
Yeah.
I will say my favorite fan interaction ever was we went to Australia like a year and a half ago for a Smash tournament called Phantom. And while we were there, me and Nick are up really early in the morning, and we're trying to get a coffee like in the central area of Sydney before we go to the airport. And we're walking with our suitcases to like a cafe, and a guy on his commute with AirPods in is just like walking down the street, and he walks by us and he takes a pod out, does not stop walking, and says, "Listening right now." Pops it back in and just keeps walking. That's my favorite fan interaction ever. Yeah.
That's really crazy. On the other side of the planet, too.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, that's insane. You're just listening to us on your morning commute right now.
That's got to be cultural. That has to be cultural.
We do have a disproportionate amount of fans in Australia, I've noticed.
Really?
Like we have a higher... I think Australia is like a crazy percentage of our listener base when you consider the amount of population they have. It's very interesting.